If you've ever looked at someone in their 40s or 50s and thought, they seem calm, but also kind of tense around money, stay with me for a minute, because there's a whole group of people living quietly in the middle of the economy that almost nobody talks about. Not retirees with paid-off houses, not the younger people posting side hustles every day. The ones in between. Generation X. And the strange part is, they might understand money better than anyone else right now, even though most of them would never say that out loud. A lot of them still feel like they're one bad month away from trouble, even when the numbers say they're doing fine. That tension isn't imagined. According to the Trans-America Center for Retirement Studies, about 70% of Gen X said they're worried about retirement, more than any other working generation. So the stress you sense around money conversations, it's real. It shows up in small ways. Hesitation before a big purchase. A long pause when someone mentions quitting a job. That quiet question in the back of their mind. What if something goes wrong again? You probably know someone like this. The coworker who has real savings but still looks uneasy when layoffs get mentioned. The neighbor who could afford a newer car but keeps the same one because it still works. The friend who spends freely on a concert then becomes extremely careful at the grocery store. From the outside, it feels inconsistent, but it's not random. There's a reason their brain treats money this way, and once you see it, you notice it everywhere. It's almost like learning a new language. At first, you miss the signals. Then suddenly, they're obvious. To understand it, you have to rewind. Imagine being a kid in the early 80s. Adults follow a simple formula. Work hard, stay loyal to one company. Save money. Retire later with stability waiting. It feels predictable. Safe enough to plan decades ahead. Safe enough that nobody really talks about backup plans. Because why would you need one? Then adulthood arrives, and the ground shifts. Layoffs happen. Pensions disappear. Markets crash. Homes lose value. The 2008 financial crisis alone wiped out about $11 trillion in U.S. household wealth, according to the Federal Reserve. For many Gen X households, that wasn't theory. That was their savings. Years of work, suddenly uncertain. And when something like that happens, right as you're building your life, you don't forget. Even when the economy recovers, your nervous system doesn't fully believe it. So you get this strange mix of behaviors. People who save consistently but feel behind. People who plan carefully but expect disappointment anyway. Psychologists call this defensive pessimism. You assume something could go wrong, so you prepare more than everyone else. Exhausting? A little. Protective? Very. And sometimes protection matters more than optimism, especially if optimism has failed you before. And honestly, given what they lived through, that reaction makes sense. That's why many of them chase protection, not flash. Emergency funds, multiple income streams, backup plans stacked on top of backup plans, quiet stability instead of loud success. Federal Reserve data shows Gen X holds a large share of retirement savings among working generations, yet they remain deeply anxious about the future. So the behavior isn't irrational. It's memory mixed with math. Numbers say one thing, experience whispers another. Here's something people overlook. Gen X built side income streams long before the internet made them trendy. Not to quit their job, just to avoid depending on one paycheck. Insurance, not ambition. Safety, not status. The goal wasn't freedom. The goal was survival with options. And that quiet redundancy may age better than louder, escape everything advice we hear now. Because slow stability rarely goes viral, but it often works. Spending habits show another contradiction. They're careful with everyday money. Discounts, comparisons, keeping things longer. Then they'll spend real money on travel, music, or time with people they love. Research shows Gen X spends thousands per year on live experiences, often more in real dollars than younger groups, even while saving heavily. Because physical things lose value, memories don't. And if stability disappears once, you start valuing what can't be taken away. That isn't reckless, it's emotional risk management. A quiet way of saying, if the future is uncertain, at least this moment is real. Trust works differently too. Gen X tends to trust individuals more than institutions. They'll leave a company quickly if something feels wrong, but they'll stay loyal to a person or small business for decades because systems can collapse. People, at least you can understand, and understanding feels safer than promises written in policy language. Money advice hits them strangely. They research everything, compare options, double-check numbers, build spreadsheets late at night. Not because they love spreadsheets, because control feels safer than blind trust, because guessing feels dangerous, because they've seen what happens when people assume things will work out. After multiple financial shocks, caution isn't paranoia, it's memory. Debt shows the same pattern. They'll borrow for structured things, like homes or businesses, but open-ended debt? That feels dangerous. Experian reports Gen X carry significant total debt, yet they're also highly consistent at paying it down deliberately. So the lesson wasn't never borrow. It was borrow with an exit plan. Know the end before you begin. Control the timeline, or don't take the risk. Even small habits reveal the mindset. Paper records, backups, copies of important documents. Not because they hate technology, because they remember systems failing. Old-fashioned, until something breaks. Then it looks smart. Redundancy isn't fear, it's preparation you hope you never need. When you zoom out, none of this is random. It's adaptation. A generation shaped by watching stability crack right when they were supposed to rely on it. So they became cautious planners, quiet savers, prepared without making noise. And honestly, that mindset might matter more in the future than louder money philosophies online. Because economies shift, rules change, certainty fades, preparation holds, flexibility survives, quiet discipline compounds, and boring in money is usually good. Quick question for you. Do you think Gen X is overly cautious with money, or secretly the most realistic generation about finances? Tell me in the comments. I read more of them than you'd expect, and your perspective helps shape what we talk about next. This isn't about one generation being smarter. Boomers trusted permanence. Millennials learned adaptability. Gen Z is learning speed. Gen X learned caution. Different lessons, same goal. Trying to feel secure in a system that never guarantees anything. So if you've wondered why some people save steadily but still worry quietly, why they prepare for problems that haven't happened, now you know. It isn't confusion, it's memory. And maybe the real takeaway isn't about generations at all. Your money habits aren't random. They've come from what you've seen go right and what you've watched fall apart. Understanding that changes how you judge yourself, and other people too. If this made you think about your own habits, share it with someone who'd relate. And if you want more real conversations about money, subscribe to Steve Invests. No hype, no fantasy, just clarity. You don't need a new life. You just need breathing room. Start with one small step this week. Nothing dramatic, just one. That's enough. I'll see you in the next one.